welcome to another episode of the South African Spies podcast. So today is a really exciting day because today is the day that I really sit back and look back at everything that we've started, everything we've done, what this journey has been like, but more importantly, where to next. So I'm going to get straight into it. Let's talk about where this all began. So the South African Spies podcast was birthed out of a need to feel at home, a need to feel comfort, a need to feel that I'm not alone. I created this podcast because I wanted to create content that I myself looked for as a South African Indian expat missing home and just wanting the comfort of something familiar. I also started it to help my own mental state at the time, dealing with things in my own life that I needed a distraction from, I needed to be preoccupied from, and I needed a sense of purpose. I am still dealing with those things, which I will share in upcoming episodes. But the podcast has really been a way for me to create something out of that. Starting off this podcast, I never had the intention of having guests on, of bringing in new faces or anything of the sort. When I was doing my brainstorming and my work around this podcast, it really just centered around how I could tell my own story, Mikhail's story, our family stories, and really just indulge in our lives. However, when the podcast started, I realized that there's a lot to say, and I myself and my own experiences are not enough to give people something to relate to, because this is a voice that resonates with our people. So I decided to invite some guests on. I reached out to a couple of people. Well, actually, I reached out to a number of people, and a couple of people responded and were very keen and interested on, getting on board and sharing their stories, and I'm very grateful for that. Meeting new people I never thought I would be chatting to or befriending at any point, has been a truly exceptional experience. Not only have people come forward to share really true, vulnerable stories about their own lives and their experiences, but really just acknowledging and this platform as a place to do that has been really something special to me. So for the guests that we've had on to date, I am super, super grateful. This has also been something that Mikhail and I have really enjoyed doing. Our families are really proud and they've enjoyed listening to our stories. And I'm grateful for the support that we've gotten. But as a couple living alone in a different country, living in a very remote area where we don't have many friends and our social lives have really changed, this has been something that we both really look forward to recording episodes and, discussing things, even if it's things that we've discussed between each other a number of times. It's been fun and a really fun aspect of our marriage. So this podcast is definitely an important part of our lives here. It's also exciting to think that this is something that we will always have out there as our legacy. With all that said, even though it's not too long into the podcast, it's only been, a couple of months, I think we've reached time for change. It's not major changes, but speaking to the people that I have and really just giving this podcast a lot of my time and attention and focus and looking at it at different angles really has allowed me to determine what I want this brand to be and how much it can really encompass the South African Indian. So, what is happening next? There's a couple of things. It's not going to be really major, but I am very excited because we have some really big plans, in the pipeline and really cool things that I really hope our audience will continue being a part of. Number 1, rebranding. So I started off with this design and I thought, okay, it's going to be nice and colorful. I like pastel colors. I'm not one for bright color. I'm very millennial in that sense where I'm very monotone with everything. So I created this background and I thought, it's going to be colorful. It's going to represent the Rainbow Nation because in essence, that is what South Africa is. And, added some elements that I link with being Indian. And then I thought about a brand itself that really stands out and what I wanted this brand to represent. And because of that, I've taken a new direction. So rebranding is coming out soon. In this week, actually straight after this episode, you'll see content change, our brand change, and this is something I hope we're going to stick to for a long time. However, if it needs to be reinvented, I'm also not against that. So have a look at the new branding. It's still the South African Spice, and let us know what you think. The next thing that's been a really, really big change is we have brought on a new partner. So we're now in partnership with a South African Indian, Savesh Chetia, who is going to use his expertise as well as his passion for South African Indians and our community and the space that we are in to really help grow this platform so that it can represent every South African Indian to the best of its ability. Look out for his feature episode that will be coming out next week, and I do hope you guys enjoy that, and we look forward to seeing what this partnership adds to the South African Spice podcast. It's always great when I meet and speak to other individuals who are just as passionate about who we are as a people. So to have somebody come on board to help grow that brand is exceptional. And then from there, I think we're going to look at the way that we structure our conversations. So I've learned after, speaking to a couple of people that I love the authenticity that a conversation brings and not an interview. I want to have actual conversations with people. Yes, maybe centered around, a specific topic, but I always find that the best kind of content comes from those actual conversations where people can speak freely, openly about the topic at hand. And that is what we're going to strive to do. So we're going to be tackling more conversations around the taboo topics in our community. I think it's really important that we start normalizing some conversations. We're also taking a different route with some of our conversations where we're going to start exploring things that I am very passionate about right now, and that is women's health and body literacy, and just talking around all things that I wish we knew growing up or when we were younger. And I say this at the age of 31, that there's so much that I don't know about myself that I wish I did sooner. So instead, I am on the hunt for the right people to have these conversations with, to make sure that it is informative and that you have the tools that you need to just make better decisions about your own body and understand yourself better. We're also going to be looking more into stories of the indentured laborers and some stories of the past. I've really enjoyed learning about our history. And even though all I'm finding right now is a lot of articles, I'm also on the hunt for anybody who would love to talk to us about the actual stories that we have not yet heard from back in the day. Nothing pleases me more. We're going to be exploring the South African Indian on all fronts. So you're going to be able to get onto this podcast and look for an episode that speaks to your life at this point in time. That is the goal. The goal is that as South African Indians, we are not one-dimensional. I think a couple of our guests have referred to us as multifaceted. And with that, I want to show the multidimensional South African Indian that we are. We deal with struggles, joys, thoughts around so many different aspects of our lives. And I want to get the right conversation started so that it talks to all those things. Mikhail and I have also decided that we are going to continue our conversation about, where we're at. We've now, I think, covered most of the topics relating to before we met. And we have a few more to cover until we get to the point for where we actually met and what that relationship looked like or how that's developed and everything that had happened since, because it all happened so fast. I think we even need to take pause and just reflect on that. But we're very excited to share that and have decided that we would like to be very open and honest about our story and our struggles and, currently the things that are happening in our lives. Because, again, the whole point of this is to make the next person aware and just know that they're not alone. And talking about all the conversations that we're going to have, the other thing that we are looking at is introducing video. So while this has been an audio-only podcast, I do think it would be a more wholesome experience to introduce video so you guys can actually put a face to the voice that you're hearing, not only mine, but our guests as well. And we are going to start doing that. And I hope that it is an enjoyable experience and it is more immersive for you as the listener. I guess that brings me to my last point, which is, as the audience and as the person listening on the other end of this, we've received so much feedback and appreciation from a lot of our listeners about the fact that we're having tough conversations, or the fact that there is something that, people can relate to. And this has been from people of all ages. And I'm really, really appreciative of that. So if you have any feedback for us, if you want to let us know what you like about the podcast, and also let us know what you don't like, because we want you to be part of this community. So we want to make the content that you enjoy. Let us know what that is for you. If there's a specific topic that you are struggling to understand or find, somebody like you to relate to, let us know, and we will do the work in finding somebody to have that conversation with in hopes that it helps. Let us know if you like our branding. Let us know what you think of our new business partner. Let us know what you think about our guests. We want to hear from you. And if you ever feel that you want to share your story or know of anybody who wants to share their story, let us know. I would be more than happy to hear from you, because let's be real, we all have a story. And this is where we tell those stories. And I guess that is all I have for now. So exciting things ahead, good topics coming, good guests, and I think this is going to be an everlasting friendship that we form. So until our next episode, shop sweet and aware. Lots of love.